great to have you with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. It's Wednesday. We made it to Hump Day. Isn't that fabulous?
It's a fabulous Hump Day already. Look at this. The light is cooperating today. I'm not spooky this morning. We'll see what happens later.
Although I think Friday we should come in Halloween costumes.
No, I'll have to figure one out. Real quick. I have a couple ideas.
You don't have a stash of Halloween costumes?
I don't. But I'm creative. I've made Halloween costumes out of nothing.
You are very creative, and on top of that, we'll have to get the light back to like that purple reddish glow on
that
you,
can happen.
Tyler.
That's easy. Actually, you just turn this light on. It decides what color it's going to be today.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Wednesday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studios alongside the one, the only, Mr. Tyler Keith, as we like to call him around here, just Superman.
Oh, please.
He's Civic Center TV's Superman. And for those that may be tuning in for the very first time, how the Oakland County Megacast grew was in the beginning stages, way back. Remember those days back in March when this all first started? And we thought it was just going to be for a couple weeks. Couple weeks turned into a couple months now into 7+ months, I think it is. So the goal of the show is really to try to inform you and also to let you know how other entities and other businesses and other people of interest are trying to navigate this virus as well. And hopefully through their conversations, you learn a little something that can help improve your life or also just give you the information and something outside of a 10-second soundbite so that you can listen to the full interviews for yourself as we try to continue to go through this COVID-19 crisis. And just when we thought things were looking better in the summertime, the numbers are starting to go back up, and the threat of going back to phase 3, which would mean more things shutting back down, could be very real in our future, which is, if that happens, I need to get my hair done before.
I think we all do. Or we need to do some serious Googling.
Yeah, the governor did not win any brownie points. What was she thinking?
It's one of those moments where I want to think that in that moment the governor said what she said, and immediately in the back of her mind knew, oh, that was a mistake.
But you know, when we all say that, it kind of comes out,
Sure.
But you say, I meant that as a joke. I didn't really mean that. We understand and we realize what the hairdressers go through in order to be as good at their craft as they want to be. And of course, we're talking about the governor back, what was that, April, I believe. Yeah. She told people to just Google how to do their own hair.
Good times.
I wouldn't even trust myself doing my dog's hair.
No, I wouldn't trust myself. Anybody that trusts me with doing their hair, I automatically don't trust them.
That's a good way.
Judgment.
That is a good way to live. So we are here in the studios, every weekday, 10 to noon, bringing you these interviews. It really does take a lot on the side of the staff. Jake does a great job of trying to book all of our guests, and it's 5 guests a day. We really are. I think he does an amazing job. He reaches out to people that I would have never thought about. But this crisis is impacting every single one of us. It's like the weather.
It is.
Remember, like, the one reason why weather is so popular in news with the news stations is because weather is the number one thing that impacts every single one of us. So that's why weather is so important, where COVID-19 is impacting every single one of us. And so we look to ways to bring you these interviews with all these different organizations. It could be a nonprofit, it could be a church, it could be our elected leaders. You know, the clerks right now, they're going through such a hard time trying. It's just crazy for them. We're in the middle of this crazy election, but also trying to navigate all of that during a pandemic as well. So with that, we just want to remind you, if anyone out there, if we haven't reached out to you and you want to share some of the experiences that you're going through, then please do so. Just go to civiccentertv.com and you'll find there's a page there that you can send your information, because we'd love to hear from you as well. And while we're talking about civiccentertv.com, if you head over there, there's the homepage, and then you click on coronavirus. That's where we put the headlines each and every morning before we come here into the studio. And speaking of the elections, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services released recommendations for voters, poll workers, and election officials for the upcoming election. When you vote, or even if you're returning your ballot, MDHSS says to practice healthy behaviors to protect yourself, to slow the spread of the virus. These behaviors include wearing a mask, covers your mouth and nose. We see so many people with it just covering their mouth. Wash your hands before entering and after leaving the polling station. While you're in the polling station, use hand sanitizer that is alcohol-based, at least 60% alcohol. Cover your coughs and sneezes with a tissue or the inside of your elbow. But I will say, if I'm going to sneeze and I have a mask on, do I have time to get out my tissue? Do I take my mask off to sneeze into a tissue and then put my mask back on? Crazy.
I would think keep your mask on, still do the elbow sneeze, then you got the double protection there, and you got your, and as long as it's not a very productive sneeze, let's say, you don't have to change your mask. I don't know.
And then, and all these are common sense. Look, 7+ months into this, we all know this. Maintain at least 6 feet of distance from others. Poll workers are going to be required to wear masks. Voters are encouraged to do so. I will say, Tyler, this last line, though, drives me a little bit crazy, because if you have a mask mandate right now, but yet you're saying we don't have to wear the mask to vote. Come on. I mean, you want to talk about politics getting in the middle of this? Just leave the line out. Wear a mask. You already told us all we have to wear a mask.
Yeah, I think the problem that comes up is they don't want to have any discrepancies that could show that they're potentially suppressing somebody's vote by saying, well, you're not wearing a mask, so we're not letting you into your polling place. We're not going to let you into your local clerk's office. And unless you wear a mask, we're not going to let you vote. That could be considered voter suppression. And so I think that that's what they're saying. Those that are working the polls are going to be required to, because we have alternate poll workers in some cases, in some communities. I know for sure West Bloomfield does for their absent voter counting board at least. But voters, they can't necessarily turn them away and say you can't vote because you're not wearing a mask.
I might have to go out and find a cute mask for when I go to vote. That could be the latest fashion thing. Instead of showing your voting I voted sticker, show your I voted mask.
Maybe a mask that's like when you're walking up and you got those people that are outside the polls at the legal distance trying to convince you at the last second to vote for their candidate. Maybe a mask that just says, don't talk to me.
That is a good one. Hey, you remember Erica Jones? She went to that one business. I think it was out in Commerce Township, and they were making all these cute, funny masks and everything. They were coming up with an LED one.
Yeah, it moves.
It would move your lips, but you could also put messages. So you could change that message with an LED, and it's battery operated. That could be your message. Don't talk to me.
Ooh. Interesting.
Also over on civiccentertv.com, some teachers and support staff who worked during the early stages of COVID-19 pandemic are going to be eligible for grant money under both the Teacher COVID-19 Grant and the Support Staff COVID-19 Grant programs. Eligible teachers can receive up to $500. Eligible support staff up to $250. To qualify, employees must have performed at least 75% of their standard instruction workload in a brick and mortar classroom. That was during the last school year prior to the suspension of in-person instruction on April 2nd. The Michigan Department of Treasury is working with the Michigan Department of Education, school entities, and other education partners to implement the programs. Eligible teachers and support staff should consult the school entity where they worked during the 2019-2020 school year to ensure they receive a grant. The grant funding checks are anticipated to be sent directly from the State Treasury Department to teachers and support staff this coming February 2021. It's kind of crazy to me that this is 7 months later and they're coming up with this, but I think what happened is that all the states and the counties, you had so much money from the federal government and you have to use that money. And so I feel like they maybe had an additional pot, and so they're trying to fill it with some of these programs. So again, this isn't necessarily what you're going through right now, but it's more what happened last year when they first put out the avoided and sent all the schools home, and you had to work from home.
Yeah, that's likely where that comes from. Getting the federal support certainly may have been a factor in jumbling up whether or not we could get additional aid to our teachers who are now teaching in even more difficult conditions. I mean, we talked with Kenneth Gutman yesterday, and you can see that interview on civiccentertv.com/megacast and click on our interviews panel there. And he had mentioned that teaching is a hard job even before COVID. And now when you're teaching virtually, when you're teaching in person, when you're teaching in both settings even, it makes it that much more tough. And these teachers are using their own resources in the classroom. They're using their own resources outside the classroom. Now they're using them in both settings. This relief for our teachers is so necessary because they're doing their job essentially at double or triple capacity of normal because of the circumstances we're under, all for our kids in these local communities.
And I think anyone working from home right now is putting out additional expenses a little bit.
Yes.
I know my husband is working from home. He goes through paper like you would not believe because he doesn't have a work computer for a teleprompter. So he writes out his scripts. He must go through a ream of paper every single week. I'm like, where's that paper going? So also on civiccentertv.com, Medicare is looking to cover the yet-to-be-approved coronavirus vaccine free for older people under a policy change expected to be announced shortly. Coming announcement from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services aims to align the time-consuming process for securing Medicare coverage of a new vaccine, drug, or treatment with the rapid campaign to have a coronavirus vaccine ready for initial distribution once it's ready, possibly as early as the end of the year. Initially, it is expected the vaccines are going to go to people in high-risk groups such as medical personnel, frontline workers, and nursing home residents and staff. Older people, however, are also high on the priority list because of their risk of serious illness and death from the coronavirus. So it does look as if someone is thinking down the road in DC, which is good to know because when and if this vaccine is approved, it is going to be a mad scramble. And these are the little nuances in so many of these medical coverage billing procedures that need to be addressed, and doing it now rather than later is going to help that process down the road.
Especially if you're starting with higher risk groups like our elderly population, many of whom are on Medicare or are on Medicaid, and having those plans in place for those coverage, for those forms of medical coverage is going to make that process a lot smoother, I would think, and a lot quicker so that you can get this vaccine, if and when it does come out in a timely manner, distributed to these high-risk groups swiftly, and then move on to the other parts of the population quickly as well, so that we can safely distribute and prudently distribute this coronavirus vaccine and end this pandemic.
So you'll find those stories and so much more on civiccentertv.com. If you go to the top page, there's the home page, and then you go over and you click on coronavirus. That's where you'll find not only the latest headlines, but if you look at the top there, we do have links directly to the CDC, as well as the state of Michigan, Oakland County, and our local municipalities as well. I like to check out Oakland County because a lot of times if you go on their news releases, that's where you'll find the latest information about some of the grants and some of the information there as well. And along with that, just in case you missed previous editions of the Megacast, or you don't have a lot of time and you just want to listen to a specific interview, you can find that right there on our homepage. We list the full Megacast as well as clips of the individual interviews as well. So there you go. We try to make it easy for you here on the Oakland County Megacast. And on the Wednesday edition, we have a lot coming up there, Tyler.
Sure.
We'll be speaking with the Mlive reporter who covers the State House. I will say, it looks like he just started that position in July of 2020. What a fun time to be covering politics.
Oh, yeah.
In the state of Michigan or any place else, because
Wild.
it is no lack of news there. So we'll be speaking with the Mlive reporter coming up here, and then we'll also be checking in with the national outreach lead for CapTel. What exactly is that, and what do they offer? And then we'll be speaking with Laura Lawson. She is the Chief People Officer. That is the coolest title.
It is.
For any business, right? What do? I'm the Chief People Officer. That's cool.
It is.
She works over at United Wholesale Mortgage. We'll be checking in with her. And then also the Pontiac Regional Chamber, as well as our one and only, our good doc, Dr. Taweel. It'd be interesting. We always just like to check in with him and get a medical perspective beyond the headlines, because right now we're hearing so much about the increase in the cases. So it'd be good to speak with the good doc as well. Tyler and I are going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast. Again, you can catch us on civiccentertv.com, as well as the Birmingham Area Municipal Access, Channel 15 Comcast, Channel 99 on AT&T, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff if you're out driving around. But we also want to say thank you to the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. They are live streaming today's edition of the Oakland County Megacast on their Facebook page.
This may seem uncomfortable, but so is being hooked to an IV, sleeping in a hospital bed, and fighting for your life. When it comes to COVID-19, comfort is not as important as saving lives. Wearing a mask can greatly reduce the chance of spreading the virus. So mask up, Michigan, every time you leave home.
Hi, my name is Kurt Lawson, and I'm the Public Information Officer for West Bloomfield Township. We wanted to reach out to you, our older adults, to provide information that you may find useful during this difficult time. We want to ensure you that West Bloomfield Town Hall, our Waters and Utility Department, West Bloomfield Parks, and our police and fire departments continue to work hard on your behalf. Information and resources can be found on the Township website, the police Facebook and Twitter, or call West Bloomfield Parks COVID-19 Help Hotline. Please remember to keep your social distance of at least 6 feet, wear facial coverings when you leave your home, and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap. These precautions will help keep you safe during these difficult times.
As rivals, we don't always see eye to eye.
Like who scored the best recruits?
Who's gonna be who?
And whether we wear green or blue.
But one thing we can all agree on to help stop the spread of COVID-19. Wear a mask.
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 The ball's in your court, Michigan.
Thank you for tuning in to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studios alongside the one, the only, Mr. Tyler Keefe. Always great to have all of you with us here today. So we're excited to bring in our next guest. I'm having troubles with my headphones here today, Tyler.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It happens. You know, it's close space, and it's easy to get your knee caught on them and pull them out when you move around. Happens.
It does happen.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what an exciting time right now to be covering politics. I remember back in the day when I used to work back in broadcast news and covering Detroit City Council. It was so crazy. Like, you never knew what was going to happen. You could never plan your day. And I feel like this is what it's like right now in politics here in the state of Michigan. And Taylor DeSormeau is an Mlive reporter covering the statewide economy and the state house. Boy, when you're in Lansing, where do you even start every day?
Well, good morning, you guys. Thanks for having me on. First off, like you said, I'm covering the statewide economy right now, but that with how things are right now, that means everybody's doing a little bit of politics, right? So I've been kind of helping out with the Secretary of State beat right now, so a lot of stuff with absentee ballots and things like that, but still working from home here in Jackson. So it's been a while, couple months though. I had covered Jackson government and politics up until about April or so, and then have covered business and COVID since then, really.
Well, Jackson has its own issues, but that's for a different show and a different episode. When you're talking about COVID-19 and this crisis, it is so linked hand in hand with the political scene and what's going on in Lansing. I've sat back and we watch and we scratch our head because maybe we're not on the inside of trying to understand these decisions. Like, why did you reopen the strip clubs? Why did you reopen the casinos in Detroit, but yet you didn't allow movie theaters to open? And I'm guessing there's a lot of business wheeling and dealing behind the scenes going on in some of these decisions.
Yeah, definitely one thing we've been following is which businesses were allowed to open, which ones aren't. Right now, everything is pretty much open. A lot of places have restrictions, like restaurants, for example, can only have 50% capacity, but everything's open right now. We definitely called for more clarity in terms of when things will be open and why things will be open. And some other states had pretty specific graphics, like once we hit this very specific number of cases or this testing percentage, then we're going to open these industries, whereas Michigan didn't really have that. So it was definitely a little more confusing. Obviously, since then, all the executive orders have been tossed out, but a lot of them have been redone through the Department of Health and Human Services. So a big thing that we've been trying to focus on is just telling people, hey, here's what you can do and here's what you can't do, because it seems to be different every single day.
So, Taylor, if I can ask you, has there been any push on the governor and her administration to make these numbers more transparent? Because these are people's lives that they're making these decisions on. And if I heard it once, I heard it 1,000 times. The science tells us, well, if the science tells us, then share that science, share that data. It's not your data. It's our data. We are the taxpayers.
Yeah, well, there is the good part about it is a lot of the data is available on the state website. You can see what the testing percentage is, how many cases there are, deaths, and things like that. The biggest concern that people had really was just, what are the goalposts? What are we aiming for? And once we hit these certain levels, is that going to spur businesses opening or businesses closing or what have you? Whereas when you don't really set those goalposts to certain numbers and certain statistics, then it's kind of up to discretion, and it can be a little bit muddier that way. So that's definitely something that we've been pressuring on. But like I said, now everything is allowed to be open, even bars and things like that. There's lots of places that can be open now. It's just having those restrictions, and that's the biggest thing for businesses. If they can only have 50% of people in a restaurant, that's really challenging. And the other thing is just demand. When people see that the numbers are so high and that they're starting to spike again, they really don't want to go out to a restaurant. They don't want to go out to a movie theater. And it doesn't matter what rules are in place if people don't have the confidence that it's going to be safe.
Taylor DeSormeau with us. He is a reporter with Mlive, joining us today on the Oakland County Megacast. And Taylor, the last couple times we spoke to you were earlier on in the pandemic, when one of the key problems that the people of Michigan were having was with unemployment, and particularly with collecting their unemployment checks. People are still unemployed in mass numbers across the state of Michigan, but we haven't really heard of any further stories of issues with the Unemployment Insurance Agency. How have the UIA issues been relieved, if at all, or are we just not hearing of it as much anymore, and they're still having significant problems getting unemployed Michiganders their checks in a timely manner?
Well, I had that very same question about a month ago, so we started looking into it. Obviously, the unemployment rate is down from where it used to be in the spring, so there's not as many problems. But once we started kind of hitting the ground and talking to people, there's still a lot of issues of people who haven't gotten paid. But just to look at some of the numbers, at the peak, Michigan had 996,000 workers on unemployment in a given week, which was almost a quarter of the workforce. Right now, it's at about 7%, which is about 300,000. So it's still much higher than it was back in the spring, which was maybe 2 to 4% were on unemployment. But so we kind of talked to people, and there was a lot of issues that people were still having. And they were able to finally connect over the phone, but it still took hours, whereas before in the spring, it was virtually impossible. So we talked to the agency to see, hey, what have you guys improved and what still needs to get better? So here's a couple interesting numbers we got from them. So back in spring, the UIA, the Unemployment Insurance Agency, had 650 employees. Now it has 2,800 employees, so it's more than quadrupled. Now, some of those are temporary workers and contracted workers, so that might not stay forever. Another interesting number is just the number of people who are answering the phones, because, gosh, it was hard to get people to answer the phones. At the start, there was 110 people answering the phones. Now there are 1,200. And the number of calls has really gone down since the spring. I think once people get their claims started and once it gets rolling, then they don't need to call anymore, right? At the peak, there was 120,000 calls per day, and they were only answering about 5% of them, so 1 in every 20. Now they're getting about 35,000 calls a day, and they're answering about 50 to 60% of them, which is still frustrating if you're part of that group that isn't having their calls answered. So I talked to Steve Gray, who's the director of the agency, and he said that the biggest priority for him is getting not 50 or 60% of the calls answered, but 100% of them. And one big change that I think is going to really help with that is in the past couple weeks, they've started a call appointment program. So you can go online and you can schedule an appointment for whatever time during the day, and then they call you. So you don't have to wait on hold and you don't have to wait for all these things. The biggest problem is there's not a ton of appointments available, and you can only do it a week in advance. So it's still really pretty tricky to get one of those appointments, but it's a lot better than having to wait on hold for hours.
What a frustrating time for so many people who are at this point in time in life. They're also struggling because there's that fear and the stress of being laid off. And there have been some crazy stories coming out about the unemployment fraud, including the feds going after the one couple that was able to steal like $50,000 from unemployment. And you look at these stories and you're like, how are they able to get that money while people who actually deserve that money are unable to even get a phone call answered? And in your reporting, how rampant is the fraud, and have they been able to address the situation that allowed for this to happen to begin with?
Yeah, fraud is definitely an issue. Like you mentioned, there's a case, we had a story come out this morning about it, a couple in Detroit. I think it was about $138,000 that they were able to scam out. They had 19 different accounts under the same name. And the thing was for them, though, they knew somebody on the inside who was also going in, and all those accounts were flagged for fraud by the system, but then the person went in and took the flag off of them. So when you have somebody on the inside, it's kind of hard to negate that. But the system is definitely flagging lots of people for fraud, and it's kind of like, where do you draw the line on where to put the fraud at? Because if you say everyone is fraud and you have to go through all those phone calls and everything, then you have people who their only lifeline is this funding, and they're out on the streets and they need this money. And or if you go the other way and you turn the fraud meter down, then all of a sudden there's opportunity for people to steal thousands and millions of dollars from the state. And this one group that we mentioned this morning, I mean, they only had about 150,000, but the person on the inside who was helping people helped defraud the system of more than $2.5 million. So that's a lot of money coming out of our taxpayers' pockets. So it's a really tough decision for the agency to figure out where to draw the line, because they can't look at every single case because there's so many.
Taylor DeSormeau with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. He is the statewide economy reporter for Mlive. With that, I would imagine through the past 6+ months or so, you've been speaking with a lot of businesses. There are so many of them, as you mentioned. Businesses are allowed to be back open right now in the state of Michigan, but it's not business as usual. It's still wobbly for so many of these business owners trying to navigate the pandemic, and can they make it through the next few months? We're, number one, going to be hit with the winter months, which forces people indoors, but number two, the cases are going up. What are you hearing from so many people within the business community and related to the state's economy if we go back down into phase 3 and have to shut back down?
Well, all along businesses have been pleading, please let us open, we'll do it safely. We know how to handle things, and obviously they are happy that they can open. But if we have to go back into any kind of shutdown, first of all, I don't know how that would work legally without any executive orders or without a state of emergency. But I'm sure there could be a way to do it. Definitely another shutdown would really hurt businesses without a doubt. one good thing is consumer spending has been surprisingly up for a lot of these businesses. But I think when you look closely, a lot of it is internet sales. So places that have adapted and have been able to kind of do sales, whether it may be takeout for restaurants or if you're a retailer selling stuff online. But also people are also kind of shifting their habits. Instead of buying stuff from the local retail shop, they might be buying on Amazon, and that might be coming from who knows where. So the small businesses in Michigan definitely need our help, and if another shutdown is not going to help that, but we'll have to see where the cases go. Like I said before, the higher the cases go, the more people are hesitant to go out. And I've even talked to people who said, if there's a mask mandate and everyone is wearing masks, I feel comfortable going to a store and I feel comfortable going to a restaurant. But when I see places that let people in that don't have masks and aren't really following the rules, I don't feel safe and I don't want to go out. So even just kind of the amount of people following the rules is really going to have an effect on how comfortable people are going out and spending their money.
Taylor DeSormeau with us. He is a Mlive reporter joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. Currently, you're on the Secretary of State beat, and with that, currently the greatest operation of the Secretary of State's department at this moment of time is, of course, managing the state's elections. Just right here in West Bloomfield, our West Bloomfield clerk, Debbie Binder, would like to remind voters in the area to return their absentee ballots to the drop box at Town Hall in time for the election. It prevents your ballot from arriving after 8 p.m. on Election Day. It allows time to cure any mistakes promptly and make sure your vote is counted, and allows them to verify signatures in a timely manner, which gets results out of the way quicker. With that, Taylor, on the statewide level, with such an influx of absentee votes being submitted in this particular election in comparison to any other we've ever had in the state of Michigan, how are things going right now with the Secretary of State's office? What is she reporting? What is her office reporting from the local clerks in terms of their readiness to count these ballots and tally these votes in a timely manner on Election Day? And is Election Day essentially going to turn into election week in a key swing state like Michigan?
Yeah, it definitely will turn into election week, and the Secretary of State's office isn't shy about saying that. They said don't expect results until Friday. So that's 3 days it might take, and it might be earlier, but it might not be. Michigan has had a record number of absentee ballots that have already been turned in, 2.1 million. The previous record was 1.6 million, and that was in August. And another million have been requested by people and haven't been turned in yet. So we're well on pace to maybe even break the record for total amount of votes in a presidential election in Michigan, which was about 5.04 million in 2008 when Barack Obama was elected. So people are definitely civically engaged. They want to vote. And a lot of people, this is the first presidential election that people can vote absentee ballot without needing to provide a reason. So that's between that and the pandemic, you're seeing a lot more people that are feeling like they want to vote absentee. Now, I thought, personally, I'm like, if all of these absentee ballots are turned in, you would think that maybe the vote would be ready sooner, right? Because people are submitting them ahead of time. Well, state law prevents these clerks' offices from really processing these ballots ahead of time, and there's a few extra steps to processing an absentee ballot versus just voting in person and putting it through the machine. So now the state legislature did give clerks' offices an extra day. So on Monday, this coming Monday, they can start processing. They won't be able to open and get inside of the ballots at all, but they can start doing some of the processes for the absentee ballots. Now, other states, sometimes they allow days or weeks in advance to start all that. So that's why some other states, you might see their results coming in Tuesday night or maybe Wednesday morning. Whereas Michigan, they have so many to get through. It's not going to happen right away on Tuesday. So, but the Secretary of State's office, first off, they're saying, don't use the mail anymore. There's less than a week to the election. It could show up late. And if it shows up after 8 p.m. on Tuesday, you're kind of out of luck. Your vote doesn't get counted. So turn it into those drop boxes or take it right to your clerk's office directly is the best way if you have the absentee ballots. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. The Secretary of State also said that just because it's going to take a little bit longer doesn't mean that people should lose faith in the election and the results. They want to prioritize accuracy over speed. And for people who want to know the results quickly, it's going to be a little bit frustrating, but we'd rather it be right than fast.
Taylor DeSormeau with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. Just a couple more questions here as we round out the day. I know one of the things the governor has been doing recently for her press conferences, they are Zoom, and they only pick so many reporters for them to be able to answer their questions, and you have to pre-submit your questions. Have you been a part of those press conferences, and have your questions been asked? Because as a reporter, sometimes if you're in a press conference, what I maybe submitted prior isn't what I would want to ask after listening to the press conference.
I have been part of a couple of them, not all of them, but I've watched almost all of them. They've changed the format a few times since it started. Now most of them are, they have the governor speaks, and then the questions you don't have to submit ahead of time, but can raise your hand on the feature. They'll call on you, and then you can ask it right there. So that's been a good thing, I think, for transparency. And obviously, if the governor answers your question during her talk, then you don't need to ask it. Or if she brings up something that you want to ask a follow-up to, then you can ask it there. It's still frustrating that not everybody gets to ask their question. There's lots of media on there because they don't have to be there, and they can do it from their basement if they want to. So it's obviously a little stressful that you can't always get your question in, but it wouldn't be any different if you were there in person and they only take a few questions too. So it's been an interesting adjustment for sure, but I think it's been they've been making some good changes.
And Taylor, when you speak of transparency, the one thing that kind of comes to mind with the Secretary of State Benson is that Mayor Mike Duggan here in the city of Detroit, and I know that you're looking at the economy statewide, the mayor has an initiative on the ballot this year for the city of Detroit in order to try to get his bond for the demolition. It's been a big push. There's a lot of controversy with that entire program, the demolition program in the state or within the city of Detroit. It is under federal review. There have been a lot of issues with that as well, but now he has a bond issue, but he announced that he is going to allow employees to be off so that they can help with election day and the counting, because the city of Detroit has been a hot mess when it comes to an election day. This has been a problem for years, and it's great to see that he's offering the resources. However, there's been an issue of, could this be a conflict of interest? Because number one, he's the mayor, and technically he is, over all of these employees, into which he is allowing them to go work the polls. But on top of that, Secretary of State Benson's husband also works for the Duggan administration. Have you looked into that as well? And when you talk about transparency within the government, are you running into any roadblocks?
That's a good question. I'm not too familiar with the situation in Detroit. I know I have, for one of my unemployment stories, I talked to a person who used to work or works with the Department of Transportation in Detroit. He kind of works with the system there and helping them with funding and whatnot. And he's been laid off since March. He kind of did bus counts and things like that. And he's actually been off work, and he wasn't able to get unemployment for a long time, and he finally got his money. But something interesting is that he's been working temporarily as an absentee ballot counter and kind of helping facilitate those things. So I do know that there's some people helping out in that area. Not too familiar with the system, though, about having employees kind of help out with the counting, though.
Well, there you go, Taylor. I just gave you a story. Look into
Yeah.
Secretary of State Benson, who her husband is, his connection to the mayor of the city of Detroit, and then the mayor having a bond issue into which he's going to allow all of these employees off to help with the election. I think it's great because in one sense, in that they need help desperately to be able to get them counted accurately. But I think there is also an issue of transparency there. If you're going to do that and you do it with a pure heart and helping, just make it known to the public. Sure. Don't make us dig. We don't like to dig. And whenever you dig, you think, why didn't they just say that? So there you go, Taylor. I gave you, I'm going to be reading Mlive. I'm going to look for the story, okay?
Sounds good.
Taylor DeSormeau with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. He is the statewide economy reporter for Mlive, as well as covering the Secretary of State beat leading up to this all-important election. Please look at Mlive, subscribe to them as well, because journalism is so important. I would say now more than ever, especially transparency journalism, not just press release journalism. So Taylor, thank you so much for being with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. Tyler and I are going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, still a lot to get to as the Oakland County Megacast continues.
Michigan, we still need to stay careful because we don't want to go backwards, back to where we started. So keep standing 6 feet apart. Keep wearing a mask in public. And if you have symptoms, talk to a healthcare provider about getting tested. To move forward, let's all do our part. So stay careful. Michigan.gov/coronavirus.
Hi, I'm Dr. Faust, the Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. The most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of illness is to wash your hands thoroughly and often. Follow these 6 easy steps every time you wash your hands. Step 1, turn on the sink and wet your hands with warm water. Step 2, apply soap to your hands and lather between your fingers, under your nails, and the front and back of your hands and wrists. Step 3, wash your hands by scrubbing them together for at least 20 seconds. Step 4, rinse your hands with warm, clean water. And Step 5, dry your hands with a clean cloth towel, a paper towel, or hot air blow dryer. If you're using a cloth towel, make sure to change it often. For handheld faucets, turn off the water using a paper towel instead of your bare hand. Step 6, if you're using a paper towel, throw it away. Practice healthy habits like washing your hands after coughing or sneezing into them to keep you and others healthy. Go to oakgov.com/health or call Nurse on Call at 1-800-848-5533 to learn more.
Great to have you with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. Just a reminder, we want to say thank you, huge thank you, to the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce for having us on their Facebook page today. They are live streaming today's edition of the Oakland County Megacast. Also want to say a huge shout out to them. They are working with Motown Digital to put on a virtual event that is going to benefit all of us. We spoke about it earlier this week, but just a reminder, it's Vibe, and it's about reinventing yourself as well as your business and re-energizing yourself during the COVID-19 pandemic. And we'll bring you a little bit more information about that later in the show. But also, you can just go to the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce website to get some more information. You can register. It does start this afternoon. Register for free through there. Our next guest here on the Oakland County Megacast, for so many people during the pandemic with hearing issues, they can feel even more so isolated. But new technology is helping them be connected to our entire community during the pandemic. And with us today on the Oakland County Megacast is Jennifer Wellens. She's the National Outreach Lead for CapTel Outreach. Jennifer, thanks for being with us on the Oakland County Megacast. And for those not familiar with CapTel, what exactly is it?
First of all, thank you so much for having me and helping me spread the word. As you mentioned, people feeling isolated is more of an issue now than ever. And when people have hearing loss and they struggle to hear on the phone, it really is a concern. You want to be able to communicate effectively. And our company, CapTel, we provide captioned telephones for people that have a hard time hearing on the phone, and we provide them for absolutely no cost. They are free. And some people have never seen a caption phone, so I've got one with me.
We like show and tell. It helps us explain.
Yeah, show and tell.
Thank you.
I'm a very visual person, so this is what one looks like.
So it's almost like a teleprompter in your phone then.
It is. So what it is, like captions on your TV, it's the same thing, but for your phone. So this phone that I just showed you, it's amplified 4 times as loud as a regular phone. And then it also displays, as you can see, word for word what the other person is saying. So what you can't hear, you can now read. And some people with their hearing loss, you'll know, louder doesn't make it better. Louder sometimes just makes it louder noise. And being able to comprehend what someone is saying is different than hearing what someone's saying. So the great part is if you're struggling to hear, you're just going to look on the screen and it's going to tell you what's being said. And it's a game changer for so many. Our parent company's been around for over 30 years, and I've been with them for over 5 years, and I am responsible for all of Michigan.
I like that you clarified that louder is not always better for people with hearing loss. Aside from the technology, just the day-to-day struggle right now with masks being required everywhere, how difficult is that for so many of your clients and people suffering from hearing loss right now? Because they rely on reading lips a lot of times to fill in those gaps.
Great question. So nowadays, I'm sure you may have seen them promote the masks that have the clear visor, plastic visor, so people can read lips. But the issue with that is it mutes the sound so significantly that it also, as much as it helps, it doesn't. So it's been interesting to find the different masks and the different equipment people have found so that they can be heard. But when you have hearing loss and you are struggling to hear someone, whether it's in-person conversation or over the phone conversation, it's exhausting. And I mean physically exhausting. So one of the comments we get when people actually get our phone and they use it, they're like, I can actually enjoy myself on the phone instead of, using their brain and trying to hear every single word. They can relax and enjoy a conversation. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
For us that maybe we encounter someone and we don't understand that they have a hearing loss or they need this technology, if we encounter them in a store or in a social setting, how should we address them to make them feel more comfortable?
That's a wonderful question. There's a few things you can do. Actually, my number will be given out at some point. And so I just want to make sure people know that you can reach out to me whether you need a phone or not, because we have a great tip sheet. And this tip sheet is a two-way street, just like you're saying. One, it's for people that have hearing when they're speaking to someone with hearing loss. And on the other side of the tip sheet are tips for if you have hearing loss, how do you advocate for yourself? Because a lot of people are too shy or they don't want to bring it up. But it's important for both people to communicate effectively. So you want to make sure that you are looking at that person and they can see you face to face. So you don't want to talk to someone with your back to them. You want to be able to look them in the eye. You want to speak slowly and clearly. Speaking louder, overly loud, doesn't help as much as being direct, speaking clearly and enunciating.
And can you tell us more? I understand for those that do need the phones, how can they get them? And what is the cost associated with them?
I know. Believe it or not, this is the hardest part of what I do, is that these phones, they are completely free. And everyone's like, there's gotta be a catch. And there is no catch. These phones are provided free. So through the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, it states every American has the right to a fair and equal way of communicating on the phone. So because of that, our program is fully funded through federal and state program. There is no cost to the end user. And people are, I just don't believe it. Well, I will tell you it is so, because we work throughout the entire state. We work with the VA, we work with audiologists, we work with geriatric doctors, internists, anyone that can help promote and spread the word about CapTel, because it is indeed as good as it says it is. And the process is so very easy. For those that have pen and paper around, I'm going to give you my number, but it'll also be given, I believe, at the end. My number is 248-550-6866. And the reason you want to call me is because if you or someone you know needs one of our phones, I will get this form to you. And this shows the 3 different styles of our phone, so you have multiple choices. And on the back is a super simple form with just your name, address, and phone number. And on the bottom, you take this to someone that can verify you have hearing loss. And that can be a doctor, a nurse, a veteran service officer, a hearing professional, a social worker. So they're just looking for a third party to verify that you would benefit from receiving this phone. And once the form gets signed, you can send it to me or fax it to the number on the form, and you get your phone. So a lot of people do ask, what's the quality, like how much hearing loss do I need to have? Or what if I don't wear hearing aids? You do not have to wear hearing aids. You just have to have a hearing loss. And that's because some people are too proud to admit they have hearing loss, and some people can't afford hearing aids. So hearing aids is not the determining factor. And it's not like on a scale of 1 to 10, there's some magic number of hearing loss. You just have to be able to benefit from having a captioned phone. So if you're struggling to hear on the phone, our job is to provide you with a phone so you can communicate effectively.
Jennifer Wellans with us on the Oakland County Megacast, National Outreach Lead at CapTel Outreach, with us today on the program. And Jennifer, much like those that are deaf and hard of hearing using a TTY, this is a very similar program for those with hearing loss that are still able to hear but maybe have some trouble on the phone. During the times that we're in, over the course of this pandemic, 7 months in, heading toward 8 months in, how much more vital have these programs that provide these kinds of resources to people with hearing loss and other hearing impairments been to keep them in communication with their families as they're keeping and their loved ones as they're keeping a safe distance?
Great question. Yeah. So normally in an average year, the busiest day of the year for us to have captions, for our captioning center to be working, the busiest day of the year normally is Mother's Day, right? Everyone's calling on Mother's Day, receiving calls, making calls. Since COVID has happened, it's been as busy, if not busier. Our captioning centers, the places where the captioning occurs to make sure that the words are accurate on the screen, they have just been doing an amazing job. They have worked all throughout this pandemic. I know we've hired more people because we want to make sure that the speed and accuracy of the captions are still at the same level it's always been. So the need is greatly there. And what we have found is because people aren't able to see each other in person, let's say you're living in a senior living community and your family's not allowed to come see you, for example, if they used to see you one-on-one and now they're relying solely on their hearing over the phone, the awareness of hearing loss has gone through the roof. And so because of that, our phones are also getting out there just in great numbers. And we are thrilled to do so. We really are thrilled to do so because it's a game changer, not only for social reasons, but also safety reasons. I've had people, our phones actually come with a built-in answering machine, so your answering machine messages come through with the captioning. But I have been in front of someone who would have taken medication that wasn't right for them because they couldn't hear their answering machine message from their doctor properly. So there's all these different applications of why hearing correctly on the phone is vital for people.
It definitely is. Jennifer Wellens with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. Thank you so much for the service that you provide and the work that you're doing as well. And again, she is the National Outreach Lead for CapTel Outreach. If you feel like you need their services, you need one of these phones, please don't be too proud. Go ahead and reach out, 248-550-6866. Jennifer, again, thank you so much for being with us. We so appreciate it, and we appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so very much. And lastly, I just want to say our phones are made in the USA, and we are very proud of that. And we actually invented the technology. So as you said, if you need a phone, please connect with me and we will get you taken care of, I promise.
Thank you so much. Tyler and I are going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast.
Michigan, we still need to stay careful because we don't want to go backwards, back to where we started. So keep standing 6 feet apart, keep wearing a mask in public, and if you have symptoms, talk to a healthcare provider about getting tested. To move forward, let's all do our part. So stay careful. Michigan.gov/coronavirus. Michigan, we're calling on you to save lives. Don't ignore it. Don't let it go to voicemail. It's urgent. In fact, it's critical. Because if you've been in close contact with someone who tests positive for COVID-19, you may have been exposed to the virus. And you could get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department. So please answer the call to learn how to protect yourself, your family, and friends. We're calling on you to stop the spread of COVID-19, to make it safe to reopen businesses and help Michigan move forward. So if you get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department, you may have been exposed to someone with COVID-19. To protect us all, answer the call. Learn more at michigan.gov/contain-COVID. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, my name is Kurt Lawson, and I'm the Public Information Officer for West Bloomfield Township. We wanted to reach out to you, our older adults, to provide information that you may find useful during this difficult time. We want to ensure you that West Bloomfield Town Hall, our Waters and Utility Department, West Bloomfield Parks, and our police and fire departments continue to work hard on your behalf. Information and resources can be found on the Township website, the police Facebook and Twitter, or call West Bloomfield Park's COVID-19 Help Hotline. Please remember to keep your social distance of at least 6 feet, wear facial coverings when you leave your home, and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap. These precautions will help keep you safe during these difficult times.
Thank you for being back with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. We've swapped out here in the studios. So Tyler stepped out for just a quick break, and then we brought in the mastermind behind the Megacast here on the Oakland County Megacast, Dave Scott. Great to have you here.
Ronnie, I've never sat over on this side of the studio before. It's very uncomfortable. And Tyler, he can hear real well. He's got young ears, and my headphones are very quiet. So if I don't respond to something, don't I have my own camera, or do I just look at your camera?
You know what? He has.
There we go. Okay. Hello, everybody.
Right. Right. He has young eyes and young ears and young eyes.
He does. He looks a lot cuter than I do on TV, but we'll do the very best we can. Hi, Ronnie Dahl. You're doing a great job. You and Tyler are killing it.
Thank you. I will say it is totally different doing this format rather than a news broadcast and news interviews, because we're used to cutting things down to 30 seconds.
Well, you've mentioned that to me many times, and one of the pleasures of doing this show is being able to let guests speak. And the audience benefits because if you just get out of the way and let somebody talk, sometimes they'll say some things that they might not have otherwise said because they can't go to their default prepared soundbite. So actually, for the world you come from, where you're always doing investigative reporting and having to put everything into a couple of seconds, getting out of the way of these people and asking them questions, just letting them talk. Every once in a while they say something that you didn't expect, and you can get some news that way. So I'm glad you like this format.
And actually, I know that I have found out where mainstream media is actually following us, Dave, because I'll see someone say something on the show, and then a day or two later, it will hit mainstream media.
Well, it was never like that when I did the show, but now that you're doing the show, everything seems a lot more credible. So that doesn't surprise me.
That's not true. That's not true. But Dave, you are a busy man. I don't know how you do what you do. And I know that you have a lot going on today. But before we get into talking about Vibe, can I just ask you quickly, you're a small business owner. You've also had to navigate and struggle through this pandemic. Words of advice to other small business owners, or even just what you're experiencing on how to survive this.
That's very kind of you to ask, Ronnie. And I'll tell you the one thing I've learned in life is that change is very, very difficult for a lot of people. I just happen to be one of those people that gets bored easy, and change comes easy to me. If I keep doing the same thing for 10, 15 seconds, I'm ready to move on to the next thing. It's just my part of my personality. But most people are very uncomfortable with change. They get up in the morning, they turn on the same radio show, they make their cup of coffee. If they have their eggs, they're either scrambled or over easy, and they don't want to change any of that. And when you translate that into the work environment, it's the same thing. Trying to get people to do new things and just trying to conceive new things as the CEO and the guy who's trying to guide the ship. It's not easy, but I have a great team of people here at Civic Center TV and at Motown Digital, and we were able to put a plan in place. It's worked out pretty well for us.
And so you are listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills, speaking with Dave Scott here on the Oakland County Megacast. He is the mastermind behind Motown Digital as well as the Oakland County Megacast. And with that, Dave, I know you guys have a big event that kicks off today and goes in tomorrow. The Vibe event, it's about re-energizing, reinventing yourself, and we can all use this advice right now.
Thank you for the setup. So we're really not ready, but this will start at 2 o'clock this afternoon regardless, and actually a little bit before.
But you know what, though? I think that's okay because it shows the human side of what we're all going through right now. And when we're a little too perfect, it seems like we have it all together. But in all honesty, everyone is struggling right now. And we need to recognize that and honor that and have grace with everyone, because we want to bring you this information, but it's a lot to be able to bring you this information.
Well, I appreciate your words of confidence, and I will make every attempt to be graceful today. The people that work with me on a daily basis know that's not one of my strengths, but I'll work on it. Well, listen, it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to today. So what's this all about? Vibe, when we set this up initially, it stands for Virtual Internet Business Event. This is less a business event, more a community event, as it turns out. But we're so delighted to be partnering with the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce and Suzanne Levine. This is really her event, and we're working with her on it. We got some great community partners. But what is it? You're going to go online today, and you're going to be able to go into a platform that's like a real event, like a TED Talk. There'll be a main stage. There'll be breakout rooms. People will be participating for wherever they are. People attending, not the presenters, will also be contributing, because you'll be able to go in and, like in Zoom, share your desktop and your camera and your mic and be able to contribute back. So it's going to be a lot of fun, definitely two-way, and we've got a pretty good lineup for today. We have an impressive lineup. So go to vibe.motowndigital.com, hit the register button, and sign up. It is totally free. Our support numbers are in there. If you can't figure out how to get through the technology, we will get you through. And it's going on today, starting around 1:30, 2 o'clock, running till this evening and all day tomorrow. So you were too busy to be on here. You would have been the headliner, Ronnie Dahl. Yeah. But joining us right out of the box is Mitch Albom, a good friend, a guy who really knows all about community and fundraising and charity. He's going to be joining us to kick it all off today. We're going to talk to Dr. Ann Chen, who is with Henry Ford Health Systems and here in West Bloomfield. And Dr. Chen's going to talk about dealing with these COVID times, Gabe Partner from Detroit Venture Partners is going to talk about conflict. And, they've been doing a great job with development here in Detroit. Roop Raj is going to pop his head in. Your friend Charlie Langton is going to pop his head in. It's going to be a lot of fun. So many different... Eli Zarrett is... If you remember Eli Zarrett from Channel 4. He's not been on TV for a while, but
that's back in the day.
Yeah, he's going to... he's a community guy. He's going to pop in. We're going to hear from West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation. We're going to hear from the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. And then it's going to be a lot of fun, too, because I think the highlight of the whole thing is going to be the dog lookalike contest that we're going to do live later on today. There's going to be other dog-related contests, and this is very off the cuff. We'll see how it goes. But it should be a lot of fun. We get some really good giveaways. And what you're going to do is we're looking for people to come in. And have you ever noticed that some people, they just start to look like their animals, and their animals start to look like them?
So I remember one time I told a news director, I'm not going to tell the entire story, but I said, well, I come from a family of mixed race. My husband is African American. My dog is brown, and she has white paws, so she's a mix of both of us.
There you go. Well,
so you
log in. Let's see. You
start to look like your pets.
You do. So we'll be looking for people that look like their pets. Greg Flynn, of course, the amazing fire chief in West Bloomfield, is going to talk fire safety. It is Fire Safety Week, and they, because of COVID-19, couldn't have their open house. A lot of these things that we're doing here are things that would be happening in the community, but we just can't get together right now. So we got a lot of that. Then to cap it all off tonight, Steve Acho. And I see you looking at your watch. I hope, I'll just go forever here. Steve.
No, we do have Laura Lawson. She's with United.
I'll get out of the way in a minute.
But no. I do. Tell us about
Steve. Steve Acho, great local performer. And then Byron and Michelle Conselmo. They'll be putting on a concert tonight. We're going to cook dinner at the Henry Ford Hospital in their healthy kitchen together. We got dessert. We're even going to show you how to make some creative cocktails live from J. Alexander's. So I'm telling you.
What time is cocktail hour?
Cocktail hour is right about when you would think. I think it's like right around 5 or 5:30, somewhere during cocktail hour should be.
Oh, I should be in Ohio by that time. I can tune in once I'm over there.
So it's going to be a ton of fun. I will not filibuster your show anymore, other than just say vibe.motowndigital.com. Go there, register, join us. It's free. And by the way, it'll be right here. Our main stage will be live on Lakes FM and on Civic Center TV. So if the technology is just too much, just watch it on TV, watch it on our stream, listen on the radio.
Dave, quickly before we let you go, though, one thing I like about what you're doing at Motown Digital is you've had to recreate yourself. But with this virtual platform, I think this is going to be the way of the future. It's not going away. And it does allow for access. I and yourself, we've gone to so many of these conferences for businesses, and it's maybe one person, two people, three people from the office. This is going to allow for so many more people to participate. Can you talk a little bit about that platform and how it works?
Yeah, well, you're going to see it today if you come to the event, because we're putting the platform at work. We've done almost 100 conferences for people all over the state of Michigan, the CPAs, all the different groups, each of the different associations around Michigan. We work with them, and we've done, like I said, nearly 100 of these conferences. And you're right on, Ronnie. I mean, we're getting people together because they can't get together in person. We're making it as effective as we can be. And then for a lot of these conferences, they've been expensive to go to. So maybe only the CEO or your director of marketing is the only one from your company that can go. Now with the virtual, they can go, but you can bring the whole staff along. They can participate virtually. And the thing that I think is the coolest about these conferences is they make what has generally been a one-way presentation, speakers on stage talking, and turn it into a two-way dialogue. And anytime you have conversation back and forth, it's always better.
It is. And people bring up different points of views that maybe you didn't think of. That sparks new conversation, which normally you would maybe get that in person, those organic conversations, but you can get them online as well. So.
And I promise we will not be talking politics. Zero politics allowed. It's going to be a politics-free zone. And can I list our sponsors? There's not a single political sponsor in here. Health Alliance Plan, Henry Ford Hospital, West Bloomfield, Beaumont, Orchard Mall, Comcast, and one other one that I can't read on there because I wrote it messy. I apologize, whoever else I missed. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of it. Did I mention vibe.motowndigital.com?
You did. I also, if anyone is following along on our social media, it's civiccentertv.com, but I've also posted the information on my social media accounts as well.
You know, when I hosted the show, I thought, well, gee, I can't do it anymore. It's just not going to be the same. And, it turned out that way. We are so lucky to have a broadcast professional such as yourself on our little old megacast here. It's just fantastic. You're here every day. Thank you.
No, I will say I enjoy the show, and it's also brought me a lot closer to the community because I'm used to focusing on certain areas. Jake does such an amazing job of trying to get so many guests in so many different arenas, people I wouldn't even think of, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a great
There's
person.
always a quiet, brilliant person behind the scenes of any great show, and
I walk
he's a
away
guy.
every single day. I learn something new every single day that I walk out of the show, and I hope that people that, if they can tune in, if not, if they can just go on and view the clips, that they can learn something as well. So.
Thanks, Ronnie. Appreciate it.
But we're going to kick Dave out because he's busy right now. And then when we come back here, good luck with the event, though, Dave. So I'm heading to Ohio this afternoon, but I will be trying to tune in once I get to Ohio as well. Again, it's vibe.motowndigital.com. You can register for free for the event. It kicks off this afternoon and then runs tomorrow as well. And so the program, as Dave was kind of saying, you can hop in, hop out. So if you do have to work remotely, you can still take advantage and maybe just tune in to those little sections that you do want to learn a little bit more about to help you get through your day. We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast, and still a lot to get to in the next hour. Our apologies to Laura Lawson. She's going to be our next guest. We are running a little bit behind on the show today. She is the Chief People Officer for United Wholesale Mortgage. She's going to be next when the Oakland County Megacast continues.
This may seem uncomfortable, but so is being hooked to an IV, sleeping in a hospital bed, and fighting for your life. When it comes to COVID-19, comfort is not as important as saving lives. Wearing a mask can greatly reduce the chance of spreading the virus. So mask up, Michigan, every time you leave home.
As rivals, we don't always see eye to eye.
Like who scored the best recruits?
Who's gonna be who?
And whether we wear green or blue.
But one thing we can all agree on to help stop the spread of COVID-19. Wear a mask.
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 The ball's in your court, Michigan.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studios alongside the one, the only, Mr. Tyler Keefe. As a reminder, you can catch us Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access. Check us out on Channel 15 Comcast, Channel 99 on AT&T. If you're out driving around in your car, well, you can dial us in on the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff. And then also today we want to say thank you to the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce for live streaming today's edition of the Oakland County Megacast on their Facebook page, which, Laura, that basically just goes to say you can pretty much catch the Oakland County Megacast anywhere out there in the social media land. Great to have you with us here. Laura Lawson, she is the Chief People Officer for United Wholesale Mortgage. Thank you for being with us today, Laura.
Thank you for having me.
You have the coolest title ever. What exactly is the Chief People Officer?
Thank you. It is a cool title, and I think it sounds very HR-based, which is one of the teams I lead here at UWM, but I also am responsible for our leadership development, teams like training, and everything from marketing, our building, our security, everything that kind of takes care of the wellness, motivation, appreciation of our team members and beyond is in my court.
Boy, I'll tell you what, United Wholesale Mortgage, you guys are exploding right now, constantly hiring new people. Do you want to talk a little bit about your need for employees and exactly what you do over there in Pontiac?
Yeah, definitely. So our team member family is at 7,000 people and beyond. It is a unique year, so a lot of our family is working out of their homes today and ongoing until we know more. But we have hired over 3,000 people alone this year, and half of them were people that were formerly unemployed because of the COVID times that we're in. So we've been able to lift up our community, being able to support our team members. Then also we made a guarantee of no layoffs during this time. So I think this is the year of encouragement and stability and even opportunity. There's so much positive out of everything that's going on this year, and we've been able to really reward and take care of our team members as a family should.
Your campus is growing in the city of Pontiac. It's been a really a big boost for the city of Pontiac to have United Shore, or well, used to be United Shore. You recently changed the name, United Wholesale Mortgage, move into the city of Pontiac. A little bit of heaviness to carry that, to say, hey, we are helping bring Pontiac back. And I know that's not just your goal, but do you think you moving into the city of Pontiac has also helped spur so many other companies being attracted to the city of Pontiac?
I do. I think that Pontiac has so much opportunity, and we've been able to show that. There is the space that we needed, but it wasn't just that. I think even the thoroughfares to be able to have such an easy, accessible city, but the opportunity for Oakland County and for our team member growth and the impact, when you think of that 7,000 people can have on a city, from our charitable relationships to even having team members moving into the city, it's kind of limitless impact that you can make when you believe that you're part of a community. So we never selected Pontiac to just sit here and set up our walls and do nothing beyond. We're very much immersed in our community and with the city, and there's so much potential here, and it's exciting to see our neighbors moving in and being part of the excitement with us. And we continue to grow. So we started with the initial building. We added 1 million square feet on top of that in a south building, and we're connecting it by bridge. So when we meant that we're coming here and it's our forever home, like we meant it and we're showing it. So the limitless potential that I think that we and others can have in Pontiac is really, really exciting, I think.
Laura Lawson with us. She's the Chief People Officer at the United Wholesale Mortgage, joining us today on the Oakland County Megacast. And Laura, as United Wholesale Mortgage continues to bring new people onto the team, and as unemployment in the local area and in the state continues to be a problem during the pandemic, for those that are seeking job opportunities and maybe are looking into job opportunities at United Wholesale Mortgage, what are companies like yours looking for in candidates right now, and what sort of positions are being sought to be filled?
Yeah, I think that we're unique in the fact that we look for the positive, amazing people with great potential. So it's no longer just about a resume. So with our job opportunities, and anyone's welcome to look at uwmcareers.com, but we have tons of operation roles available, and that's literally somebody coming in, and we go through service assessments, making sure that they're service-oriented people. But it's not about the degree and it's not about the resume. It's about people that want to win and want to be part of our joining and growing company. So we have from operations roles, underwriting roles, sales and beyond. We are that special company that we like to do everything here and not be reliant on external needs. So we have marketing roles to accounting to everything under the sun. So from your creatives to your analytical, those positions are here. So when I say 7,000 and growing, we mean it. And a lot of these roles can start as soon as Monday. So it's very, very exciting, I think, right now to guarantee such great employment for our community.
And when you talk about a place to work, you pretty much also sell yourself on you're not only hardworking, but you're also a fun place to work. And you walk into your building, it can be a little bit overwhelming. It's almost like a campus. Like, you get that campus feeling because there are foosball tables, there's a basketball court. So as the person who is behind the chief people officer, how do you try to motivate and attract people to a company in today's day and age? Because I will say, I feel like the younger generation, they will look at a company, but then they'll move on quickly. So that may help get them in the door, but how do you keep them to stay?
It's definitely very competitive, but I'm pretty fierce about making sure that everything that we offer is genuine. And what I mean by that is we're not the place you're going to come and see, the slide in the lobby that doesn't have a purpose. So while it may look fun, I think when you take a deeper look, you understand our investments are in things like our doctor's office. So there's no greater year than this one to be able to show how much that investment has helped our people, because it's not just for the on-site people, but telemedicine being everything right now. So with that being as one of the examples, it's being able to articulate and explain why we do the things that we do. And it's not ever a smoke and mirrors approach of we're not trying to dangle these things to get people in. We're trying to show that it's a hire to retire place, and it's not to get people to work more, it's to be able to take care of people during the hours that they work. So I think when you have a different mentality and strategy about that, though competitive, we're very true and genuine to why we do our things. And it's those right candidates that understand that you're not just joining any place. This is a place that we want you to be able to hire, to retire, to be able to grow from within and enjoy every day that you're here. And I do. I hate leaving every day. I truly do. Every time it hits 6 o'clock, but I'm like, work-life balance, it's time to go and take care of my kids, but then come back tomorrow to these amazing things that we work for. So it's all about work-life balance for us.
Work-life balance, but also it seems like a lot of you have become a family, and you've created this amazing atmosphere within the building. And as you said, you're expanding as well. And then COVID hits. Now you have so many people working remotely. It is so hard, as someone who has started a new job during this pandemic, it's so hard to not be able to reach out to one another in those normal old school fashion ways of starting a job and learning and getting to know new people. How have you and the people at United Wholesale Mortgage tried to address that gap?
Oh, it's so difficult. And so a lot of it is just recognizing that, because there's the Zoom fatigue, right? Most of our family is not here on site, they're at home. And so being able to create those bridges of relationships, being able to have our traditions and keep those stable as if we were here. We're the company that has daily huddles every day on the floor where it's loud and it's noisy and it's so fun and engaging. How do you bring that to the homes? Even this week with Halloween, we always have over 8,000 children visit our headquarters to trick or treat. We can't do that. So today we're sending treats home to all of our families. So you have to be very creative with the engagement pieces to make sure that people still feel that we're not just like anybody else. And people are getting a dose of working from home. We normally don't have that model. So do they prefer that? Because we are coming back at some point whenever we can. So it is a very careful balance right now, but I think it's just rooted in the genuine care. So from things of showing that, telemedicine type of example to we made DoorDash delivery and service fees free for all of our people. We're picking up the tab on that so that they can order in. So how do we take care of our people, but also their families during this time and keep people motivated and positive?
Laura Lawson with us on the Oakland County Megacast joining us today. She is the Chief People Officer at United Wholesale Mortgage. And previously on, in this pandemic, there was an outbreak that the health department had traced back to your organization on site. Do you want to address that a little bit about what happened there, how the company did respond to maintain a safe environment after that occurred and adjust? Because we're all adjusting. All of our companies are adjusting during this as time goes on and we learn more information.
Yeah, I think it was a very difficult time for us, and it still is, from the fact that once things hit the media, you can't explain, and often sometimes people don't want the explanation. But even hearing the term outbreak makes me cringe, for the fact that we care so deeply for people. In most of the cases were people working from home. They weren't somebody that they were on site. So I think that the story was not in our favor whatsoever with the facts. It was also difficult because the health department was never on site before making those claims. After the fact, they came on site and retracted all the claims. So it was a difficult phase for us. Every day I come in here, and I'm sitting here in my office now, is I have my temperature taken. Everyone does, all day, every day. Even if I leave this building 5 times today, I still get my temperature taken every time I walk in the door. I have symptom checks, mask, social distancing, and more. So everything that we're supposed to be doing, we're very, very conscious about. And then we're trying to think, what more do we have to do? For example, that temperature check. No one's telling us we have to do that. That's something we want to do to protect our people. So it was definitely a hard challenge for us. But we overcome, and it's all about keeping our people safe right now.
And we should also let people know an outbreak by the health department is just described as 2 or more people connected to one incident into which they think could have been an outbreak. Any time we go out, we could be exposed to. I feel like every time I walk outside my house, I'm exposed to the virus, and it's so hard to actually track where it comes from. So, but you're doing what so many other businesses are doing, and what we do here at Civic Center TV every day. We come in, we take our temperatures, we do the health screening as well. And so with that, do you want to talk a little bit about the mortgage industry at all right now and what you all actually do? Because with the rates being what they are you busier than ever before and doing that in the middle of a pandemic?
We are busy. We're very busy, which is also very exciting. So United Wholesale Mortgage, UWM, our client is the mortgage broker. So even anybody listening, the best way to find a mortgage is to go through a broker because it opens up so many more opportunities for you and options. So findamortgagebroker.com is a great resource for that, to be able to put in your zip code, your area, to find great partners, because you can find the best deal. So it's an amazing time to refinance. If nobody has looked into that, I urge you to do so, because you can save so much money, particularly in a time that people need to be saving. So mortgage brokers, we believe, are the way to go. And we're number one in what we do. So we get to help so many families fulfill the dream of home ownership. And it's a privilege to be able to do that and work on that every day.
Laura Lawson with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. She is the Chief People Officer over at United Wholesale Mortgage, a company that relocated in the city of Pontiac a few years ago, and your campus continues to grow. And I think it is also helping reshape the narrative about the city of Pontiac, bringing in a company such as yours and the growth that you are seeing. But I think that entire corridor is changing now as well. You have M1 Concourse right there. Amazon's going to be moving into the city as well. So these are the good things coming out of the city of Pontiac. So we want to say thank you for your decision to move to the city of Pontiac, because I really do think that it is helping to spur the economic change and growth in the city of Pontiac that we need. And of course, as many of you know, I live in the city of Kegel Harbor. Pontiac is next door to me. It is in our backyard. And when Pontiac strives, then the entire area is going to help strive as well. Quickly, Laura, before we let you go, anything that we didn't ask that you want to touch on, or are you still in that hiring phase right now? And if so, what's the easiest way for people to apply for the jobs?
We definitely are. Every Monday, we're welcoming new hire classes to join our family, and there's no better place to be than Pontiac. So uwmcareers.com is where you can look at our job opportunities, and don't be intimidated by hearing mortgage industry. You don't have to have prior experience. So we have a home for you if you're positive, with a crazy work ethic. We would love to hear from you.
Well, thank you so much for being with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. And also thank you to you and your entire team over there, 7,000 people strong and growing. And I know that United Wholesale Mortgage also supports a lot of the charities within the area as well. So thank you for continuing to contribute to the community. Always great having you and speaking to you as well. And Laura, happy Halloween. I know you're a Halloween nut. It's going to be a little crazier this year, but happy Halloween to you and the kids as well.
Thank you. You as well. Thank you for having me.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast. We're running a little bit behind, but still a lot to get to. Next up, we are actually going to be speaking with the Pontiac Regional Chamber to see how things are going in the city of Pontiac, as well as rounding out the show with our good old Dr. Taweel. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
Michigan, the coronavirus pandemic has put us all to the test. And now, it's time to put COVID-19 to the test. As we move forward, testing will be critical. We encourage anyone who has reason to get tested to do so, those with symptoms and those without. If you are leaving home and going back to work, get tested. If you think you may have COVID-19 or you've been exposed recently through family, friends, or coworkers, get tested. Our test locator tool can help you find the right testing site that fits your needs. Even if you're looking for easy access with no cost, no prescription, and no appointment necessary, we've got you covered. Help Michigan move forward, not backward. To find a testing site or learn more, visit michigan.gov/coronavirus test. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Michigan, we still need to stay careful because we don't want to go backwards, back to where we started. So keep standing 6 feet apart, keep wearing a mask in public, and if you have symptoms, talk to a healthcare provider about getting tested. To move forward, let's all do our part. So stay careful. Michigan.gov/coronavirus.
Keeping with the Pontiac conversation, we are now going to bring into the show Dominique Head. He is the chair for the Pontiac Regional Chamber, and we were just talking with Laura Lawson over there at United Wholesale Mortgage, and them moving into the city of Pontiac. How much has that impacted the growth and some of the things that you're seeing in the city of Pontiac?
Oh, I think it's, a tremendous growth for our community at large. We have them along with Williams International and now Amazon as kind of some of the new employers in the community. We're really excited about, their participation and their growth. I mean, it's definitely opened up that corridor. You got Williams International over there, Marriott Hotels, you got Challenge Manufacturing, George with M1 Ultimate Soccer Arena. So that corridor, that south end corridor, is really shaping up. I think you were mentioning that earlier about M1 and them finishing out their build out, which is coming soon. They're finishing up with all construction.
And with that, I always forget about the soccer place over there because it's kind of tucked a little bit further back. But I will say, as someone who has lived in this area for the past 15 plus years, I used to volunteer in the city of Pontiac. It's great to finally see the narrative of Pontiac starting to change because it is a place of growth and opportunity. With that, it seems like some of the businesses in that downtown corridor, it was going so well, but things seem like they've stalled a little bit. Or is that just a perception? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that we've seen in Pontiac, which I think, is an homage to its heritage, is the family-owned business. So, George over at Ultimate Soccer Arena, you have the Zoloff family with M1. You have the Ishbia family with United Wholesale Mortgage and the Williams family. So you're seeing a resurgence of family-owned enterprises come to Pontiac, which I think is great. And I think one of the things that we're seeing in downtown is you're seeing the smaller family-owned shops, what we call the mom and pops, right? The restaurants. You have Brett, who owns Liberty Bar, right? You got Lee, who owns Fillmore. They're navigating what is, kind of a tumultuous time for them, given, the pullback in dining out. So, we're working with them. We're hoping to put some projects together with those two individuals specifically. One of the things we've been working on this past summer was creating a sense of place in the city of Pontiac. One of the things that we did was Pontiac Pizza Night, where we basically, for participating in a survey that we did to kind of find out how parents are doing during this COVID, we gave away 100 free pizzas. So, our role, I think, as a chamber is to create a sense of place for our community entrepreneurs, but also for the citizens at large. And, a lot of our work that we're doing is now constructed around the school system. So there's 11 different school systems within the city of Pontiac, some private, some charter, and one public. And, our hope is to, one, create a sense of place for the children and the families that live here. So that, for us, that's connecting them with the local business owners and, the likes of United Wholesale Mortgage and Williams International. And I know the mayor has a scholarship program with Williams. And so we're just hoping to extend upon that. And I think one of the things that we have to keep focusing on is driving our consumers into our local businesses. And no offense against any other business, but, the sustainability of, a Moe's and a Liberty Bar and Fillmore 13 depends on not only the citizens coming, but the neighboring community.
I've heard great things about the drive-in concerts that were happening there in the downtown Pontiac area. A lot of people enjoyed those. Now we're seeing a surge in COVID numbers, and just at a time when so many of these businesses, downtown businesses and restaurants, are struggling to make it, but then going into the winter months and now the possibility of a shutdown. What are the concerns are you hearing from some of your chamber members from the business community there in the city of Pontiac?
Primary concern is one, safety first. I think that's always going to be there. I think the secondary issue is like being able to pivot and navigate this economic change that we're going through. So we're working pretty closely with David Coulter's office and the Economic Development Department to help people navigate this economic situation that we're all in. And I think the travel, dining, we're going to need to come together and keep helping them pivot until they find a more prosperous lane.
Dominic Head joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. And Dominic, as the virus numbers in the state of Michigan continue to show more positive cases, as you said, safety is of the foremost thought of each of these companies, and on top of that, they're also considering ways to pivot should they have to. Once again, for those companies that rely so much on the weather being nice to attract people in, to have extra seating and outdoors for restaurants, and extra space outdoors to maintain capacity limits for retailers and so on, how are they preparing to cope with the winter months coming up and continue their business? Are they going to be able to do so in a viable way from your conversations with them so far?
Yeah, I mean, we're, like I said, again, we're working on different projects that relate to the winter months. Our goal is, last year we had, in January, we had what we call the Fruitful Toast. And so basically we worked that program with the Marriott Hotel. So we're hoping to extend that program to create a broader sense of place with local restaurants in the area. So we're working on projects that we can help them with, and one, connecting people to them locally.
So anything in the pipeline and in the works for the city of Pontiac that you maybe want to leak out today to let the people know about the city of Pontiac?
Best city in Oakland County.
Come on, give us some news. You're the man with your pulse on the community. You're working with these companies, getting deals made. What's going on in the city of Pontiac? If I haven't been there in a while, what should I do? Where should I eat? But what could possibly be coming into the city that's going to help attract more people to visit the city of Pontiac?
Well, hopefully David Coulter is going to bring more of Oakland County's employees to the city, but I don't have anything that I can possibly leak out right now to you. There's a lot of projects that are happening that, are coming soon, should I say. But ultimately for us, we want to continue to work together, with the school systems and the business corporations to expand the economic workforce development pipeline. We think that's a really important thing, given the need for employees right now. And then secondly, we want to make sure that our local small business owners have an opportunity to succeed. So we're going to keep helping them pivot. I'm sure you're aware of that, that we, can't necessarily talk about right now.
But you're so on the edge. I know you want to talk about something out there, but let's make a deal. How about when you're ready to make some of this stuff public, you'll reach out to us and we can get you back on the show.
Absolutely. And, I really appreciate the work you guys are doing. And Laura and her team over there at United Wholesale Mortgage have made a great impact in the city. I mean, I mean, I know people who are employed there, and I think it's a great place to, learn the business. And like they said, that you don't have to have prior experience. So, really excited about those opportunities to work and partner with United Wholesale Mortgage.
And when you have a big company move in there, like you have Amazon now, and then you have United Wholesale Mortgage, I still want to keep calling them United Shore, but when you have them move into the city of Pontiac and they're making such a big footprint there, does that help you sell the city and the resources to other businesses to try to keep that momentum going?
Yeah, I think it does. I think, there's a lot of stuff still coming down the pipe. When we think about the marijuana, 20 dispensaries that are coming, that's one piece. So we're looking for that announcement to come out rather shortly. So hopefully before the end of the year, we'll know who's coming there. But I think, it sets the stage for when you have those anchor type companies in to bring in kind of the smaller mom and pop shops and, find ways to support them in reaching that audience. So I think Laura was talking about DoorDash and how, they're supporting their families with DoorDash opportunities. And, I think there's a myriad or a menagerie of opportunities to bring in smaller businesses that supplement or are complementary to the larger ones.
Well, it's always great having you on, and when you get a little bit more information that you want to share about all good things going on in the city of Pontiac, we always invite you back here on the Oakland County Megacast. And with that as well, hopefully this is spurring not only business interest in the city of Pontiac, but also inviting and enticing people to move into the city as well. Because, of course, when Pontiac thrives, we all thrive. So thank you for all the work that you're doing to try to raise the profile of the city of Pontiac and let people know about what's going on. Thank you for being with us here on the Megacast.
Yeah, and thank you guys for inviting me again, and look forward to talking to you in the future.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Tyler and I are going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll round out the show speaking with our good doc, Dr. Jamie Taweel. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
Michigan, we're calling on you to save lives. Don't ignore it. Don't let it go to voicemail. It's urgent. In fact, it's critical. Because if you've been in close contact with someone who tests positive for COVID-19, you may have been exposed to the virus. And you could get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department. So please answer the call to learn how to protect yourself, your family, and friends. We're calling on you to stop the spread of COVID-19, to make it safe to reopen businesses and help Michigan move forward. So if you get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department, you may have been exposed to someone with COVID-19. To protect us all, answer the call. Learn more at michigan.gov/containcovid. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonay Khaldun. I'm the Chief Medical Executive for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. The people who are at highest risk of getting severely ill from COVID-19 are the elderly and those with chronic medical conditions. That includes people with heart disease, diabetes, COPD, or those who have compromised immune systems. People who are in those categories should right now be staying at home as much as possible and not going out if it is not essential. If you fit into one of those categories, those are the things you should do. And if you have a family member who fits into one of those categories, you should be checking in on them and making sure they are following those guidelines. There's something everyone can do to protect the community from COVID-19.
Great to have you join us here on the Oakland County Megacast. I'm in the studio here alongside the one, the only, Mr. Tyler Keefe. The Wednesday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. The time just flies by when we come in the studio. We want to say thank you, of course, to the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce for live streaming today's edition of the Oakland County Megacast on their Facebook page. And as a reminder, you can also catch us on Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access, Channel 15 Comcast, Channel 99 AT&T if you're out driving around here in the area, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM, The Biff. We're going to round out the show with our good old Dr. Jamie Taweel. Always great having you with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. I will say every time I see a headline break about the medical world, I'm like, where's the doctor? I have a question. Do your patients do that to you as well?
Absolutely. All day long, I get, patients go, what do you really think about this COVID thing? And I go, good thing you asked me because no one else has ever. I get it all day.
I think you need your own podcast.
Oh, no, I'm very happy working with you guys. You guys are awesome. So.
We're happy to set you up a website, and we'll just put all the interviews up on your own website there. The words of wisdom from the good doc.
Yeah, it changes weekly though. Everything keeps happening so fast, it becomes, I feel like by the time we realize we forgot to post a video on our my office's Facebook page, I feel like the data has already been, too late. So I oftentimes keep forgetting to do that.
It is so true. And with that, one of the things that, obviously the big headline right now over the past week has been the surge in cases. And not surprising, but sometimes too, I try to say how much of this is politics and how much is this real raw data, because I feel like prior to this election, you could count on the medical community, but I feel like there's now politics that's kind of bleeding over into the medical community, and that it makes what's coming out not as believable. So what should people believe right now?
People should believe the data. The data is reported, and yes, politics is playing a bit of a role. And what I believe politics is playing a bit of a role in is how to deal with the data, but the data stands. So when they're reporting that cases are rising, and those are that's significant. Now, whether or not certain aspects of politics choose to run with that data or to suggest that the data is not there, and what to do with that. But the reality is that cases are going back up, and it was to be expected given the fact that, restrictions were going to be relaxed. The weather's getting colder. People are starting to collect a little bit more. People are going out and eating more. People are doing those things. And it's going to, the bump was expected, but at the same time, this significant rise is getting a little bit concerning.
One of the things that gets a little confusing for me, though, is that when we see these numbers, the outbreaks in schools aren't as high as they anticipated them to be, which is good, but yet we have gatherings at schools, and it's not rising there. But yet, obviously, we're having some of these big campaign rallies are happening right now as well. And so far, it seems like they may be traced back to one party, but not another party. And I think from the standard from just the general public, if we could just get clarity, that would help, foster the believability in what is actually happening.
When you mean clarity, do you mean clarity in terms of,
Yeah, like the governor comes out and she'll say, hey, the Trump rally is going to be a super spreader, but not the Democrat. And I don't want to make it about politics, but it's like behind politics seems to be pushing this. And you'll see some of these big protests, but there's no big outbreaks that seem to be coming out of the protests, but they're coming out of maybe this party's election event or this one's. And I think that's where people are just so tired, and that pandemic fatigue really seems to set in.
I get it, and pandemic fatigue is definitely happening, and that's going to be just as dangerous, because when people stop taking the precautions that they need to, that's when you're going to have a lot of issues. Now, I think people just need to be a little more aware of the fact that use their own eyes, and when cause does meet effect, it's pretty obvious. If you're looking at, I'm trying very hard to be apolitical here, and I practice medicine, not politics.
Right. That's what makes it so hard, right? Because you don't want to bring politics into it, and you're like, wait a minute.
It's tough, and but my patients, I have a lot of patients that are very strongly in their political beliefs, and they're trying to talk to me about the issues from a political perspective, and I'm saying, look, I'm just the guy with the stethoscope and just telling you what I see. You know what I mean? I think schools are okay. Let's start with where we're at. Schools are doing pretty well with a lot of this, and schools are also doing really well with if a case is positive, they're doing what should be done. Isolation, they're testing, and they're doing contact tracing, and I think that's how they're mitigating that that reaction there, or that outbreaks. They're trying to really contain it. If you look at these giant crowds of outdoor people gathering together for political rallies, I definitely don't think that's a good idea, specifically if you're screaming, and you're not wearing a mask. You're going to put yourself at increased risk, even if you are outdoors, if you are packed tight. And I think the other issue is that you don't see cases rising right away. Those people aren't getting tested immediately, so we're not able to actually identify it. But at the same time, it can take up to a week before people start to see symptoms, and they're also still spreading it at that time. So I think that can play into it a little bit. And if you're looking at campaign events where people are a little bit more distanced out, wearing masks, or doing those car rallies that I'm seeing, it's going to be, from a purely medical point of view, that's going to be a little bit more of a safer option.
And of course, looking into the last 3 months of the year, obviously we have Halloween this weekend, and Thanksgiving, as well as Christmas. Those are times when families just naturally gather. So you're going to be indoors more as well. I would anticipate these numbers are going to get even higher.
Unfortunately, I feel that may be the case unless people are getting very, very aggressive about maintaining, all the proper precautions. I'm, the concern about voting as well. Make sure that, and I want to definitely say this, people, I want everybody to vote. I think that's your medicine aside, this is your right as an American to go and vote, and vote for whatever party you love, and I support it no matter what. But when you do go there, to try and just make sure that you're washing your hands before and after you're leaving the polling stations. Try to bring with you an alcohol-based sanitizer. Certain polling stations may want you to quickly pull your mask down so they can verify that you are who you are to vote. Stay 6 feet away from people. I've been joking around a little bit, treat people as if they're trying to hand you a flyer outside of the supermarket, just keep them at arm's length and go about your business, But, you can still do a lot of the things that you want to do. You just want to make sure that you're doing them safely as possible. I can't make risk zero, but you can definitely lower it.
Dr. Jamie Taweel with us on the Oakland County Megacast. He is the internal medicine specialist at Grand River Medical Associates with us today on the program. And Dr. Taweel, as we are heading in now into the colder months of the year, we're well in the thick of fall. We're heading toward the winter season, and flu season definitely is upon us. As we are getting closer to the major points of the flu season, can you just emphasize again how much more important is it in the current climate that we're in, with COVID-19 out there, with the similar symptoms in some cases between COVID and the flu, for people to get their flu vaccine? Should they, at this point in the season, get it?
Yes. Late October, this is a good time to get it. You should definitely get the flu vaccine. I'm always going to recommend that. People always ask me, do I really need it? Last time I got it, it gave me the flu. It does not give you the flu. It can make you feel a little bit lethargic. You can get some pain at the injection site, but it's not going to be the thing that gets you the flu. You do not want to get the flu, and more importantly, you do not want to get the flu and COVID. So if you could lower your risk of one, I think that's a risk that, I think that's an option that you would want to take. Always going to recommend it. I think now's a good time of year to get it done. And I think that, they're giving it away. You can go get it free at CVS, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I don't want to create an issue, but it's been, they've been very aggressive about pushing out the flu vaccine, and I think people should definitely get it.
Dr. Jamie Taweel with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. He is the internal medicine specialist at the Grand River Medical Associates. and always great to have you with us here on the Megacast. Just before we let you go, a few more minutes here, what are you seeing and hearing from some of your patients? Any other trends outside COVID related?
Honestly, I'm not quite sure. I probably, I can't think of any offhand. The majority of my patients have been people that have been trying to get their physicals in that they weren't able to when things were really hairy, as well as, the same day sick things, people like that. People have been asking about COVID. So the majority of the conversation has been COVID. One thing I am seeing actually now it comes to mind, I'm seeing a significant increase in stress and anxiety, and which is fair enough. And I understand that. But, when you talk to people, the uncertainty of the climate, the uncertainty of this disease, people that have, suffered from this, it is very concerning. I've never had more patients come to me with issues with regards to stress and anxiety than anything else. Working from home, the uncertainty of their jobs, all of this. I have a patient who's a dentist, and she had told me that, people are grinding their teeth in higher numbers just due to stress. And she's never been putting more crowns in than has in a long time. And it's been pretty amazing. But the overall just tone of people has been significantly more anxious as of late. And I think that's something that's really starting to impact people. And I only see it going up as we go into the holidays, because the holidays by nature are stressful for people. So, I think if people have those issues, they need to really kind of bring it to our attention so that we can do our best to help. You don't want to just, be safe, but be scared. That's no way to live, unfortunately.
Right. And it's so important to actually have a conversation with people as well, and people you trust, such as your doctor and your physician. And with that, I also worry about, there have been so many secondary, third, cases related that weren't COVID directly related, but they were a subset because people didn't get help due to COVID concerns. And as the conversation is starting to shift about higher numbers and higher hospitalizations, you worry about those people that maybe need the help, if they are feeling chest pains or something of that nature, where they're not going to the hospital again because they're concerned about COVID. And I know hospitals are so much better equipped and more prepared to be able to address an uptick in COVID cases, but is there concern that this conversation is going to start keeping more people home who should maybe go to the hospital when they need to?
It did do that for a period of time when things first went a little bit awry, and people were staying home when they should have went to the hospital. And thank God we were able to do telemedicine, so we were able to at least talk to some patients, not all of them, but some of them that were able to talk to me. I could sit there and say, look, this isn't something I would sit on. You have to go to the ER. And people were afraid. People were afraid to come here just because they didn't want to get a refill on their blood pressure medications because, well, I don't want to catch COVID. And again, that leads more to the stress and anxiety. People are social by nature, and when you isolate them, it tends to just really ramp up the fear and the anxiety. And I really do worry that people will forego treatable things for something that they're afraid they might get. And it's understandable, but it's certainly not the smartest option. I wouldn't call it stupid by any means, but it's not I would say it's not the most appropriate option, because you're basically trading one problem for another at this point, and one of which was very easily treatable. Again, I can't suggest that you're not going to get it, but at the same time, as long as you're doing everything you can to reduce the risk, I don't feel that it's necessary to suffer just because you have some significant concerns, specifically if you're having chest pain or something like that. I mean, those are things that are time dependent. If you're not getting treated right away, the longer you wait, the worse things can get if it is something significant like a heart attack. So those are things you always want to make sure that you're at least at a minimum contacting your doctor, either through online portal or giving them a call in their office and just speaking with the physician. Most staffs have marching orders as well, can discuss things with the doctor and try and get questions answered. Do the best you can rather than just ignore it all flat out, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely does. Good words to leave on today. Dr. Jamie Taweel with us here on the Oakland County Megacast, internal medicine specialist, Grand River Medical Associates. If you need a good doc, check out their office. And real quickly before we let you go, I know the last time we talked about Halloween, I have the perfect costume for you because you're not going to be working. You're off that day. It's Saturday. You can go as a doctor.
I've done it before. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to go as a non-doctor. My costume's arriving in the mail today, so I'll send you photos.
We'll be looking forward to that. That is going to wrap it up for the Wednesday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. Just a reminder, check out the Vibe event. It starts this afternoon, vibe.motowndigital.com. This has been the Oakland County Megacast.